Welcome, guys, to the Careers in the Cloud podcast. This is episode 4. I think it's episode 4, if I'm not mistaken. 4 or 5.
He's lost count already. He's done 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Feels
Losing
like
count
he can't
already.
keep up.
Exactly.
We got some unfamiliar faces on the podcast today, Mal.
No, I would say familiar, actually. I think
To us.
probably knows them, but no, you guys know who we are. You know myself, Mauricio, you know Hemi, you know Alice, but the guests of honor really are Kiran and Johann. And what I'm most excited about, I think, talking about on this episode is just like the history that the three of us have had, and even the two of you, or the history that the two of you have had before kind of we all got connected. And it really is like a bit of a chain reaction from Kiran being based back home in India, working at Salesforce, looking to relocate, to a new country for some new opportunity, which at the time, right, COVID-19, right, being based in a country that was heavily hit, kind of all odds stacked against you in a way. That's just kind of how things ended up being. But from getting in touch with Johann and the three of us getting in touch together, and I guess your mindset and your outlook and how that sort of changed from when you started, good place, but what you picked up along the way changed your strategy, ended up landing you in I guess Berlin, where you'll be flying out soon. No?
Yes, Mauricio.
Nice. Well,
Yes.
please introduce yourself by all means, so the viewers watching know who you are if they don't already. I'd be shocked.
Sure. Thank you for the introduction, Mauricio. So I am Kiran. I joined SumUp as an architect. So currently, because of the COVID situation, I am working from India, but I'll be moving to Berlin soon.
Nice.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I was before joining SumUp, I was working in Salesforce India as a developer support engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a customer-facing role where I work with the global customers on their customization-related issues. And then, things happened. And when I decided that, okay, I'm going to be on the architect path, so I made sure that I'm doing all the background work related to it, being associated with a lot of architect summits, completing the certifications, doing POCs, mentoring people. So that is a quick introduction about the background work that I did before building that architect mindset, to be honest. So, yeah.
Johann, it's all you. Who are you? No one knows you.
No.
Oh my God.
I'm Johann, an admin from Berlin. I'm welcoming Kiran soon to have taste the Indian food. I think I know half of the Indian restaurants in Berlin. I can show you around. Welcome. And with SumUp, I know you have some of the best minds around you. Great place to get your architect skills. Yes, and I know Kiran since I think a year ago. He was one of the first 15 people in the Cyma group. He even was a participant as an early supporter there. And I'm super happy that you relocated, and I learned a lot from Kiran. I have to say, if I want to relocate in the future, I will ask Kiran about how to go about it.
Yeah, right. Like if you can do what you did, dude, that's I think the biggest point that I hope people take away from this is like if you can make what you made happen, dude, you can go anywhere in the world, wherever you are. There's a way to do it, but the process I think that you took and the learnings is really, I think, the most interesting point. So let's back this up then, right? To when you started to think in your mind that you wanted to maybe relocate. Why were you thinking that, and where were you thinking of going?
Yeah, Mauricio. So the thought process about changing a job happened 5 to 6 months back.
Mm-hmm.
Where I was working as a developer support engineer, working on cases. I was trying to understand a lot of new features in Salesforce. And since I was working in Salesforce, I got a lot of opportunities to directly interact with the research and development team and a lot of SMEs. But one thing that I was missing is to work on, maybe a one problem end to end. Maybe you cannot be an architect without working on a problem end to end, without having the architect mindset of designing solutions for a larger audience. So that is what I was missing. I was working only on silos. Maybe one incident which may be related to an Apex CPU time limit exceeded, or one piece related to integration, but I was missing the complete picture. So the understanding of complete picture, or even the design aspects as well. And the idea to be an architect stemmed long back, but I was under an impression that this particular role in Salesforce was not quite conducive for me to to be in that path. That is when I thought, okay, this has to move somewhere, because I tried internally, to be honest. That is the first place everyone checks. So internal job movement is not that quite easy. And considering the background that I have, I had a good developer background, and I was working as a developer support engineer. So getting your first architect role is not quite easy, right? So yeah, and within an organization also, and in an organization like Salesforce, the challenges gets manifold. So I thought of looking out, and when I thought about few countries that I can move in order to start an architect role, I listed out few countries. Germany, to be honest, is not my first choice, and I listed out.
No disrespect, Germany, but you weren't the first choice. I think it was the food, right, Kiran? Because Kiran was going off where the best cuisine is. He was like, okay, maybe it's not
Kiran, you don't move to Germany, you move to Berlin.
Exactly.
This is not the same thing.
I'll come back to that point.
One of the best cities in the world, definitely.
True.
I would not live in Germany. I would live in Berlin. Fine.
Right. Right. So the countries that I targeted initially, like 4 countries. One being Australia, United Kingdom, Canada, and Germany. So a few of the criteria that I had in mind, apart from food, obviously, is is the current Salesforce market, and how welcoming are they to the international candidates, and how the structure looks like, and how the market looks like, and what is the future scope. It is not quite easy to get it from a Google search. It's not that easy. So we had to.
I was just picturing Kiran going, Australia, Indian food. Nah, I'm not doing Australia.
So your research was Google Images, and you just searched for Indian food, and you checked how well the food looks in this country?
No, I hadn't. So it was not quite easy, to be honest. So I had to speak with a lot of people. Luckily, I had a good number of connections in each of these mentioned countries. So people from Salesforce, people from Deloitte, people from Accenture. So these people were working in the respective countries, and I reached out to them, telling them, like, I'm in this situation, I'm looking for this. And unluckily, like, that is when COVID picked up, and most of the countries that I mentioned either made a hiring freeze or put India in a high variant risk, and travel from India is almost impossible in the countries that I mentioned, like Australia, United Kingdom. They just closed the borders straight away. But one thing that helped at that point of time, only couple of options were there. One was Canada, another one was Germany, and that's when I started the job search and narrowed down on Germany because of a lot of positive inputs that I got related to Germany.
Did you see the weather in Canada, Kiran? And you're like, you know what? I think I'll give Germany a go, even though Germany still is cold in its own self. Right, man, come on, it's nowhere near Canada.
Like, nowhere near Canada.
Kiran going out in his fur jacket and his boots.
and you are imagining me in all the possible situations, be it food, be it weather. So
you got to think about these things. We spoke to a candidate yesterday about Finland, Kiran, and he was from India, and he just said, dude, there's no way I'm going to Finland. I think I'd actually die of the cold. So these are things that you definitely have to consider, right? Because when I relocated, and anyone relocates, I think, would you advise, Kiran, that they have to do all that research, like the place they're going to live, the culture, the food, the society? Like, is these things important, and are these things that you looked at as well?
Maybe I would say, like, a must to have and good to have. Like if you take any place for that matter, there will be some disadvantages, right? Maybe few places may not be easy to break in because of a language barrier. Maybe a small Salesforce market. So there are positives and negatives in each and every market, to be honest, and it varies person to person. Like, I was focusing on only few factors that I mentioned at the start. Certainly, weather was not one. So,
I mean, with Germany, Kiran, I was going to say, and Johann, you can definitely come in here. Some people are tipping Germany to be the biggest Salesforce ecosystem up and coming in Europe, given that London and everything that's going on in the UK that we won't get into with the dirty B word and everything with COVID. So, I mean, what do you guys think about that, about Germany taking that mantle, about getting the most investment and now being considered probably the hub of Europe for Salesforce in the next couple of years?
You can say it in a negative way. We in Germany are 10 years behind the US and 5 years behind the UK. So we have some catching up to do. It's not even if, yes, the market is huge. We have a strong industry. There's still lots and lots of old money. There's some new money in Berlin. Berlin has no old money, only new money. And Kiran, I'm happy that you moved into Berlin. We have a lot of innovative startups who do great stuff, especially around Salesforce, because the Berlin startups are not about tech startups. We are sales startups. We are there to make money.
Definitely.
Not develop the cutting edge technology. It's
that's a good move, right? To go instead of moving to North America, where like the market's going to be a bit more like they're hurting for talent out there too. Don't get me wrong, but it's a bit more saturated as far as competition. Whereas Germany, it's like there's great people who are working there. There's just not so many people in the ecosystem in general, which makes room for new people to join and actually make an impact, right? So. Yeah.
There's probably more local Salesforce user groups in New York than in whole of Germany.
I believe.
Very likely, actually. I think the New York Salesforce market is bigger than the whole of German market. And maybe this already brings me to one of the things I respect about Kiran is the downside is this market is still quite small and people know each other, which makes breaking into a market even harder because in Berlin especially we know each other.
Yeah,
I know.
Right.
It's definitely a community. It's definitely a community.
So tight. But it's the tipping point, I guess, right? Is like once there's slightly a bit more people and things start to diversify, the companies who are looking at talent have a bit more options. That's when it starts to become more and more like the UK and North America in some respect, obviously, right? But I can see that. So you've chose in your mind at that point Germany. Okay, it's like, look, I made my decision. I can't do anything internally, right? I have to leave, and I would like to leave. My home country. What was the next step after that? What did you do?
Yeah, next are the series of mistakes that I did, which I'm happy to talk about.
I have to take notes now.
Yes. So the first thing that I did is I just opened LinkedIn, Salesforce developer, Salesforce architect, Salesforce administrator, Germany.
Okay. Nice.
Get the list of jobs, apply. Easy apply, even easier. So,
did you get any responses from those?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. As expected, actually, because I was not sure that I'm doing this huge mistake of not at all tailoring, not at all making sure that I have all the skills, whether my resume is updated and whether it has any semblance to what the organization is expecting. And even
sometimes it
would be funny, I didn't even check whether there is a requirement for German language. So just imagine my situation. If
you're just applying to these roles, and you know what? Going back to what you said about knowing even if the CV was up to standard, I want to say this right now: anyone still using borders on their CVs, please stop. You don't need to use a border. We've moved past it.
Oh no!
and this might be a bombshell for people, but I think what Kiran touched upon is a big thing because CVs are first impressions, right? And I think if you're applying to a role from India to a client in Germany and they're seeing this profile and maybe your picture's on there as well with this border and they see India, that straight away puts you in a harder position, right? Because they're thinking about relocation. Is he someone who's culturally going to be able to adapt? So I can imagine that's something that a lot of people go through. So sorry, Kiran, I lost your train of thought. Keep going.
Exactly. So that was one of the mistakes, and I was not very sure what I was looking for. I was not sure whether I was looking for startups or app exchange partners or MNCs. And that is where I reconnected with Johann and Mauricio, and we had 2 lovely sessions. I mean, we had a couple of mock interview sessions. Questions were prepared by Mauricio and Johann. I mean, what else I can ask for? To be honest, on one hand you have a great and a very seasoned headhunter. On the other hand, you have a quite renowned CTA. So these people,
Justin says, do you think that?
And to be honest, I'm lucky enough to have these people as part of my network, and these people made sure that all the rough edges are cleared. So they were giving me very honest feedbacks. To be honest, in terms of
the first to the second, do you remember that, Johann? Just like talking to a different guy, straight up.
I wanted to say say the same. I'm not sure if even your English improved so much. Marie, do you agree, or it's a complete?
Yeah, like I mean, I think it's more just like the first interview. You kind of just we asked some tough questions, right? And you said what you thought. We gave you the feedback, and then the second one, it was just like all the feedback we gave about being concise, being sharp, making it more of a conversation. That's what made it like. That's what made you sound like a completely different guy. And even if you go on to like language skills, I mean, no one's gonna because we was a couple weeks apart, basically. No one's gonna, crazily advance their language skills no matter how much Duolingo or classes you're going to do in a couple of weeks, but the way that you say things literally is it changes what people hear, essentially, right?
Do you think it's a confidence thing as well?
Yeah, confidence, everything. It changes completely how you're received, and I think that was the biggest thing from the first to the second. But yeah, huge, man.
Yeah.
And yeah,
exactly, because I clearly remember. So whenever I was getting a technical question from Johann, I used to stutter a lot. I was giving answers like, I mean, it doesn't have a start and an end. I was going here and there. It was not at all concise. And Johann giving me a very honest feedback. Man, this is how you should start, and you should make it in a sense like you are giving a sense of kind of an engagement with the person whom you are speaking with. It's not a one-way conversation.
yeah,
It's like it's an interview, and you are in a position where you are going to exchange the ideas, exchange your experience and your skills with the other person. So he made me realize that it is more conversational, and asked me to make sure that the interviewer is also engaged. It's not like I should keep on speaking, because I remember I was speaking for 10-15 minutes for one single question. So,
No break.
So no break whatsoever. So I had few things on my mind. I wanted to make sure that I complete my point completely.
Do you
so
see this
yeah,
a lot, Johann, though, as well? Like, do you just bringing you into the conversation? Do you see this a lot? Because it's great advice, and I know that we've given that advice to a lot of people. Is it something that you see a lot, and is it something that straight away you're like, man, I know they're not going to get this job or be able to succeed if they go about answering a question this way?
Yeah, and I can say from the other side, I was doing interviews or was watching people who do interviews, and at least in Berlin, we are very about flat hierarchies and trying to exchange. So even if somebody's my manager, I have to be honest with this person, and this manager relies on me holding a conversation. This is what we test for, actually, in interviews.
Very direct. I think that's one thing I admire about the German culture. It's honesty and brutal honesty, but also just that transparency, right?
yeah.
Which is different culturally to many countries, and how they operate, and how it's deemed respectful with your line manager on things that you can say and things you can't say. But I think for you, Kiran, one thing I've always said, if you talk longer than 10 minutes on one question, I think you've lost the job already.
Exactly. And it was true, because it was quite different for me to get such a honest feedback straight away, because I was never expecting it, to be honest. I was thinking maybe
we started with something positive, like one sentence positive. Kiran, you showed up. Great for you. Now let's get
I mean, you could have taken it in a negative way, Kiran, because your ego could have been hurt, right? You could have been like, who's this guy? But you took it on board and you actually implemented it and came back even stronger.
Because I took notes for maybe 2-3 pages. I mean, that was the amount of feedback that I got from Johann and Mauricio. So I went back to the drawing room and made sure that, okay, whatever thoughts that I have in my mind, I made sure that I answer it in a very streamlined way as much as possible, and made sure that I'm also giving that much of interest to the person who is interviewing me. Like, they should also feel that, okay, this guy is up to something. Okay, he's going to tell me something that is going to sound interesting. So let me let me give him some 2 to 3 more minutes. Let's see what he's coming up with. So I made sure that even I'm instilling such level of interaction and interest with the person whom I'm interacting with. That is quite a huge takeaway for me when I had this interaction with Johann and Mauricio. And Mauricio is known for giving you some what do you call unexpected questions at unexpected. I mean, he is a master at it. he certainly is.
I think between the three of you, Alice, Emmy, and Maurizio, you heard every question possible or everything.
We've heard, we've heard some weird ones for sure. Some that are very direct and good, and other ones that are like as tough as why is the sky blue? To be honest, but, yeah,
I've got a new one for you. I've got a new one I developed over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Let's see Kiran in action now. Let's see.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
What's the color of my socks?
Johann, come on.
I don't know.
Okay.
I thought you were
nice.
obviously they're orange, man. Come on.
No,
Okay. I'll take a guess. I'll take a guess.
No, I practice with my architect. Say I don't know. This is what we expect from you, especially in Germany. If you don't know,
accepting when you don't know something. But this again, Johann, look, being a British Indian guy, I can say this and I can get away with it. You will admit, Kiran, it is maybe in our nature to say yes to everything. Like it's embedded in our mind as kids. True. Like your mum and dad just tell us, like, look, whatever it is, say yes.
Yeah, that's true. Like, and what we will do is like we'll give it a try. Yeah, we'll give it a try and then back out.
and the best thing is, you'll get all the way to the end, and then that's when you'll finally admit that, by the way, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's like, dude, why didn't you say anything for the last 4 weeks?
And I'm as guilty as everybody else. And I maybe follow up on Hami's. If I personally also like to talk, so I use the finger version. If I have to answer a question, I use 1, 2, 3. If I'm not done with the answer, it's probably wrong anyway.
It's working for you.
Looking at it,
right? Yeah, here you are.
Yeah, nobody sees the hand down here.
Sorry,
I was going to bring that up actually, especially for our German audience and people who are, thinking about relocating maybe there, about the culture, and something I learned over the years. Honesty is always the best way to go, and to be direct. Saying that you don't know something, you brought it up, but it's super important. And there's so many people that try to give some kind of answer just so they don't feel like they're failing. Doesn't help. Maybe in other cultures it works, but in Germany, it's better always to be honest, right? Yeah, I think
in Salesforce as a whole, though, man, I think you can't be an expert in everything, right? And I think
exactly
that's where you can go away and find the solution, and find that alternative and that different approach. But I think for you, Kiran, the one question I was going to ask you as well is, what's the first thing you're going to do when you get to Berlin? Because there's got to be a Johann kind of drink celebration. Like he's got to have some Indian. If there's not a butter chicken and a chicken tikka masala on the table when you get there into Berlin, I'll be disappointed, Johann.
I want to tell you the honest answer here. We have shitty Indian food. We have the worst Indian food. We have a lot of it, but we Germanized it. So sometimes I fly to London just to get good Indian food.
Come on.
Yes.
London's got the best Indian food in the world, man.
I agree there. I agree.
Even better than India.
Is it?
Come on.
No, you didn't.
No.
Yeah, but maybe once we did that, of course, we come here and then we do Salesforce architecture. Now, Kiran, I wanted to ask you, you have been, once you made this mistake with LinkedIn applying, I have been doing exactly the same. So just apply for jobs via LinkedIn. What was your next step once you realized this doesn't work?
Yeah. So then it was kind of fixing the target, wanted to understand what I actually want. Then that's when that was the conversation that I had with both Mauricio and Johann, and thinking through all those steps that we did, we clearly understood that I'm looking for a design role, kind of an architect or a lead role, where I'll be getting an ample chance to work on the solutioning part, not just an individual contributor developing stuffs and moving on to the next development. No, we made sure that we are looking for these sort of roles. And Johann also gave me a very valid, and that I think that is one single tip which saved me a lot of time. He clearly told me that you have to focus on cities rather than whole of Germany. He classified the market based on the first thing that I clearly remember is look for Berlin. Like it is the hub of startups. It's one place where there are a lot of international Salesforce people, and one city which welcomes a lot of expats, and there is a good demand for English speakers. So that is one, you can say, a melting point of all the requirements that they had.
I was just trying to picture Kiran not getting that advice from someone and ending up in like Wolfsburg or something. than just just being in the middle of nowhere and being like, dude, because man, it's great advice, man. Because the one thing I was going to say to you, Kiran, as well, like, was there any, when COVID hit and things changed, right? And then India obviously recently going through the time it has been, and it's getting better now. As we're filming this, you know, I can see state by state, India is getting better. So thoughts to people in India and all around the world. Were you scared at any point though? Like, come on, man, there's got to be some fear, and you know, if this doesn't work out, I'm losing my home, my family, everything in a time which is so weird to the whole world. Like, talk us through that emotion, man.
True. I mean, because I remember like when I started applying for the roles in Berlin, the first interview that I got is from SumUp. So I attended the interview and I got selected. That's it. That's the end of the job search. So I never ever. That was the first and last interview that I had with any of the German firm.
You had more practice interviews with Maurizio and me than with actual interviews.
Honestly, that's the thing, right? Like, you have to be like a sniper when you're going for the actual job, but the prep you do before has to be consistent. And like, when you get that actual job, or when you get that interview, like, you're going to kill it because you practice so much, as opposed to just spending time with like every, you know, this job, that job that you don't even want. You're sitting there. No one knows what's going on. You haven't really prepared because you don't love it. You know what I mean? They're interviewing you because of whatever reason. You be like a sniper. You pick the ones you love. You prep like crazy. Dude, there you go.
It accelerates the reality check though, because going back to what I was saying to Kiran, when it became real so quick, that's when it's like, okay, this is it. You know, now it's real.
Because there was a lot of self-doubts, to be honest. When I was starting, the first thing that I had is like, whether am I good enough to move to another country in a better role, and whether or the skill sets that I have, whether the soft skills that I have will actually fit in the organization needs. There were a lot of questions, to be honest, and with each and every passing day, with a lot of preparation from my end and also from a lot of inputs from my network, I made sure that I get rid of all those negative thoughts one by one. And when I got the first interview call, I was like 80-90% sure that I'm going to convert this no matter what. Because I made sure that I clearly understand and accept that there is a problem from my end as far as the language proficiency is concerned. There is no second thoughts about it. So I wanted to make sure that I am projecting with all the other skill sets that I have, like working in a team, being proactive, and making sure that I'm up to date with all the Salesforce skills, and kind of a team player who any organization can rely on. I made sure that I am a complete person for an organization, so that once I have, this is actually the confidence part, to be honest. Like, once you get the confidence that, okay, you are good enough to crack any interview, then everything will certainly fall in place. There may be few obstacles here and there, but things will certainly fall in place.
When did you start to feel confident? Like, what was the trigger, basically, where you just started to feel like, you know what, I can do this. Like, I am good enough, basically, you know?
I can't quite think of one single point. Maybe it's kind of a gradual process, to be honest. Sure. Maybe I was getting rid of one negative at a time. Maybe in a matter of 3-4 weeks, I made sure that, okay, maybe this is the point where I can certainly apply for jobs with confidence. It's not like there is an open job, I'm going to apply. No. What I was doing at the last phase was targeted search, and I was 100% sure that I'm at least going to get an interview call. And once the days was close, I was under an impression, okay, this is the time where I should unleash whatever skills that I have, whatever preparation that I did so far.
By that point, I just felt like Kiran was just like raring to go. And he was just like, you know what, I'm going to do this. Like, this is it. This is the moment. This was his 8 Mile M&M moment where it was like one shot.
I was waiting for just one interview call, to be honest.
Just one interview, man. He's like, exactly, I'm going to kill this interview.
Exactly. Because I was waiting for one interview call, because I was pretty sure that I am looking for a targeted search. The industry is also quite narrow, and the city is also quite targeted. So sure, okay, I'm going to land up an interview in next 10-15 days. Even I think I spoke with a guy who's working in Deloitte, Germany. He was also asking me, your ambition is too high, because I told him, like, I'm going to land up a job. I'm going to receive an offer letter within this month. And this was March, I guess.
At
the
this
month
company
where,
with that income at this
So-
month during COVID.
I told him like
From
I'm
my
going to get
bedroom.
a job in Berlin. It's going to be either a lead or an architect role, and this is going to happen within this month. I think
And
I
he's
told
like,
him
"Good
in the
luck,
month
buddy."
of March,
He's there laughing at you. He's like, "Yeah, sure."
and he sent me a shocking shock smiley. And it took him some time to come out of the shock, to be honest. So maybe
If you're watching this,
accuracy is better than
he did it.
Yeah.
when they call what kind of placements they're gonna make.
Yeah. Hey, can I ask something there to the three of you? Because I actually, Kiran, that's the opposite of what I was reading online, and everybody told me all my career. Everybody told me do as many interviews as possible to get practice. Just do the shotgun approach. Do it. Something people say, I do 30 applications a week and 15 interviews, and I also kind of tried it at some point in my career. He's doing the exact opposite.
He's
Like,
being
you
a
can't
sniper,
do
right?
that
He's
and
being
get a
very
job.
targeted.
Yeah, it's possible. Like, if you apply to like 100,000 different jobs, like you're probably going to get one for sure. But it's more like, think about what's the best use of your time. Like, do you want to be there filling out all these applications and maybe get one where if you're just a bit more tailored, you could have maybe gotten 3 interviews instead of 10, but the 3 are like, you will be happy in these jobs. Whereas in those 10, it's like, we're going to have to see 6 months.
And you lose that spark, right?
I'm going to leave again, right?
You lose that spark because after you've interviewed for the 15th time, you're literally then going through the motions and just giving interview answers. What Kiran said and what Johann, I can see between you guys is a natural chemistry, man. And that's where you've just got to be yourself, right? Because in interviews, you can fake it till you make it, and then you can start, and everything that you said that you could do goes out the window, right? So I think being targeted, being tailored, it shows that you actually put some thought into it, and you should get the return if it's tailored. But if you're just aiming at everything and hoping that you're going to get one job out of it, that job that you applied for, the one you do get out of the 30, probably isn't the one that you wanted anyway. It was just something that you aimed at.
It's like you can be landing in a wrong place as well, which will make the situation even a lot harder. Not only for you.
How bad would it be? How bad would it be? Right, you come to Germany for the wrong opportunity, and this is something that I wanted to say to you, ask you as well, Kiran. Did that ever go through your mind? Like, because we've spoke to many. I know Alice and me and Mao have spoke to people who have relocated, risked everything, and it wasn't what they thought, and then they've gone back, which is fine. But there's a lot of time and money spent in that, and up and moving. So for you, what were the 3 things that the job had to have for you to be like, okay, I'm going to take this? Is there anything specific you look for in a company or in a role that you could give advice to others?
Yeah, Amy. So one of the very first factor that I had in my mind is not to compromise for the role. Like, you can get your favored location, you can get your preferred salary, your preferred compensation, but at the end of the day, the job that you do on a day-to-day basis defines you, defines your peace of mind, defines your satisfaction, everything. So one thing that I was very particular about is to make sure that I'm getting the role that I was looking for, either to be on the designing part, maybe kind of a senior developer, kind of a lead role, or if not, if better, it's be an architect role. So I was very particular about it, and I was having no compromise on that, to be honest. So that was one thing that I had in my mind. Rest it will fall in place. I'm not at all worried about it. Each and every organization is different. Each and every city is different. You're going to face the challenges. I completely understand. And coming from a very different culture, very different background, it's going to be difficult. There is no denying that. But the primary focus that I had, a good role. That's it. It can be in a startup, it can be in an MNC, it can be anywhere, but the first thing that came to my mind is the role.
And you didn't want to sell yourself short, right? You didn't want to sell yourself below that level that you thought you were at, because we see that a lot. I don't know if you see it, Johann, but when you get not desperate, but when you think that you just need to get to a country or you need to just relocate, you'll accept a role that's lower than what you know you're capable of just to get there. And then you think to yourself, once I'm here, maybe I can then start looking for something better, but that might never happen. So I don't know if there's any advice in that, but you stuck to your guns and you made sure that you actually got the role that you wanted to get. Because again, we've seen it where you see so many people come over as expats and they work as a developer and they're an architect, and it's like,
true. And one more point that I would like to add is, like, my previous organization, the brand of my previous organization also helped me a lot, because I completely understand that at the end of the day, the value that you're going to add, the skill set, the experience that you're going to bring, but at least to get the first look, the brand that you represent will also have a say. Since I was working in Salesforce, the people who interviewed me also felt quite happy that a person who was working in the product organization from the Salesforce themselves is trying to come to our organization. So it's going to bring a lot of expertise, a lot of brand awareness, a lot of ideas, a lot of at least a good understanding of the platform, if not great. So they have a certain perception about the brand, which is quite common, which is natural, right? You cannot ask someone to ignore the brand and continue the interview. That's not going to happen anyway. So there will be certain expectations, and you also have to make sure that you live up to the expectation in the interview and after the interview. That's a separate story altogether. But the point that I'm trying to make is these factors also help me a lot. And apart from skill set, Salesforce being a platform where the importance is also given to certifications. So we talk about the merits, demerits of certification. That's a separate topic altogether. But if you are backing your skills with a certification and vice versa, then certifications is not a bad thing to have at all. Because I was applying for kind of a design role, and I had application architect at that point of time. So I completed the certifications, which will certainly help in an architect role. So backing up the skill with certification combined with the brand value, at least made sure that the organization thought, okay, this guy can be worth trying for. Let us at least interview him. We have certain expectations from him. Let's see whether he is living up to his potential or not.
I don't want to put you on the spot here, Kiran, but with someone like Johann as a mentor, or as someone you're going to be working with, any aspirations of getting to CTA? Because we do know Germany needs a lot more CTAs, man. Just putting it out there.
The first conversation that I had with Johann revolved around CTA, because at that point of time, Johann was a system and application architect, and he was preparing for CTA. And I was preparing for application architect. So our discussions were around that as well. Like we were, the main motive of SIMA is to empower people and empower budding architects. So that was the initial conversation that we had. And Johann is well ahead of, I was thinking, okay, maybe I should catch up with Johann someday in the application with a system architect, and maybe I'll get a chance to prepare with Johann for CTA. But now he's a CTA coach, so maybe I'm going to send him a separate application to be my CTA mentor. So he's way ahead, and it's good. Like you also get a lot of confidence that, okay, someone who you interacted with, someone who shares similar ideas and thought process and similar work ethic is able to push himself and reach certain reach a certain place, then that will also rub off on you.
Johann, you've got to be the youngest CTA in Germany, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. No, we don't interact. There is not a secret CTA Stammtisch. And I want to be honest, I'm more connected to the Indian Salesforce community than to the German one for some reason. This is just something natural.
Mate, you're global anyway. Like I think even in the UK, people know you, Johann. You're global,
but not West Coast US. I have to say they have a really weird time zone.
No, man, there's people who know you do. Trust me.
No, but I want to say something about Kiran. I see, yes, people sell themselves short. This is true, especially for expats, because they think they have to start somewhere. True, but I also see the opposite. Let's say somebody said, "Hey, I want to be a team lead because I was in that mistake. I want to be not a team lead, but I want to have a leadership role, but I never have shown that I have a leadership." So what Kiran did, he never worked as an architect, but he showed. So if somebody interviews with me and says, I want to be a solution architect, I would ask immediately, what did you learn about architecture yesterday?
Good question.
Don't say what you want to be, show what you tried to do. And this is what Kiran showed. A year ago, he did the certs, he joined SIMA, he did some presentations. He is putting in the work. You have to invest first. I think this
Guys, talk to us about SIMA a little bit if you can, because obviously for the people that don't know, it exploded massively and started as a 15 kind of person group with Kiran and you guys in it. Talk us through where it's at now and what you guys start. What is SIMA? Can people join it freely? And how can it help others in the...
It was about 12 months ago that I posted on LinkedIn, I look for study partners for the CTA. This was it. And I think I had like 300 or 400 comments on it. So then we thought, hey, there is something to it. So apparently people... and there's a need, and then we have like a monthly meeting, and Kiran also supported us there, where we, now the leadership is with Mira, Neha, and Lilis, the 3 future CTAs, where we say in a monthly meeting, let's talk Salesforce architecture, really deep architecture stuff, not so much from a technical point of view, we want to say. We are not the best techies, more of a strategic point of view, how to decide on the right reporting. Check us out on Meetup. Just get involved. Always check us out we always look for presenters. We look for hosts. And I think this is what Kiran also experienced with us. We at Cyma believe everybody should have a chance. If you want to present at Cyma, you don't have to prove anything. You tell us you want to present, you present. That's it. We don't even check beforehand about your presentation.
Exactly. Because that's true.
Walk up and do your thing.
Yeah, I am the example here because I reached out to Johann in LinkedIn. I told him like I have something in mind that I can share with Cyma. Without having any further questions, he said, "Okay, let's connect sometime next week and we will talk about it." I told him on the very first call, like this is going to be my first public presentation. Even though I had presentations of a very small scale, this is going to be my first global meet. And he supported me a lot. Like I think the first topic that we touched upon is related to sharing and Apex managed sharing, right? Yeah, and so it was quite an amazing session, to be honest. And the group expanded just like anything, because I remember joining one of the latest meetups, and I couldn't believe, okay, this is the same group that I started with Johann. Like we were just 15 members, and the participants, the speakers were very reluctant. Like not many people were coming forward to present. Like we were asking for a lot of presenters, but now we are getting people from people across the globe presenting on wide variety of topics, to be honest. So we are quite happy to seeing the growth of Cyma, and like I'm damn sure that it's going to add a lot of value in the future as well. It's helping a lot of people who are in the CTA path, and few people who may be thinking like whether CTA is actually a good thing for me or not, are getting clarity when they attend Cyma meetups. Mm-hmm. So
I want to say something here. What Kiran did and what helps for everybody is step out of the shadow. If you want to be an architect or if you want to be a leader, you have to be comfortable public speaking.
Big time. Biggest skill gap in Salesforce, in my opinion, is being able to present and public speak efficiently, where you can actually motivate and actually guide and explain it to an extent that the whole room understands it and people can see the value. But I think for me, that's the biggest gap, that communication piece.
Yeah, in tech in general, I would say. But look, this has been great, guys. I think there's a lot of pieces here that people who are going to relocate or looking to go somewhere new can take with them and improve. I want to maybe finish this off by asking both of you if you guys have any tips, like maybe even 2 or 3 tips each for somebody who maybe is like Kiran, for example, going to somewhere new. Quick 3 tips as to what you would give somebody who's looking to move, and then Johann, we can even maybe go specific to Germany. 3 quick tips on what you think if somebody wants to move to the country, get into the Salesforce ecosystem. What kind of 3 tips would you give them?
Do your research. So I would say start with LinkedIn, open LinkedIn, say German or Berlin Salesforce, contact the first 5 people, ask them, can we have a 30-minute chat about, and just talk. Whatever, exactly what Kiran did. Like, just talk. Get into ask people, what is it, what do you work on? What did you do last week? What do you do tomorrow? Get a feel how these people communicate, how they act, what are their values. Like, do your research.
Yeah.
Talk to Maurizio. Talk to your local headhunter. No, seriously. I mean, you know that I do this kind of questions always. Get all your homework. Second is about Germany in particular. Do your certifications.
Yeah.
And don't lie to us.
don't get someone else to do the certification on your behalf. You do the certification.
Sometimes in my old job, we gave out homework. I actually like jobs who gave out homework. I like to do the homework, and somebody faked it. We notice. It's not that it takes me exactly 1 question to notice if you didn't do your homework yourself.
I watched some of the interviews at your old job.
But also when you have a certification and then say, I did the marketing cloud certification, but I never worked on marketing cloud. Done. Great.
Simple way of putting it, right? Honest. Simple way of just being honest, but saying I still did the cert, so you can still give me some credit, theoretically, but practically, I need a little help. Give me a project. Give me something.
This is actually more valuable than somebody who says, I have the marketing cloud cert, I ask a question, the person can't answer.
Man, there's nothing worse that we find, honestly, man. It's like they have one cert, and it's like, I'm a specialist in this area, and it's like, describe that. I mean, specialist is a very, for me, if you're going to use that term, you really need to know your shit and come prepared. And I remember one guy went into an interview and he literally went in with the biggest ego because he had this one certification, won't mention the cert, and the guy just battered him, like obliterated him in the interview because he wanted to prove a point as an interviewer that you should never come in with that attitude that just because you've got the cert that you think that that's going to be enough to be able to pull the wool over my eyes or the interviewer's eyes. And
the third thing I take away from Kiran, actually, I notice is focus on I combine it with marketing, focus on your 2 or 3 strong points.
Yeah.
And work on them. In his he likes to be a team, he's proactive, he likes to study, he's focused. These are his strong points. Not his English, not his German. No, let's be honest, he's not an experienced architect. So focus on the strong points, write your CV short and precise. The CVs have to be short and precise for German, I would say. Or
I would say just short, precise CV, and then you can always have like a project list that follows, right, with some more details. Stuff like that.
I always find it weird in Germany though with the picture and how that's a culture thing, because you get some amazing pictures where they really take it to the next level, and we've seen some beauties, right, guys? Like we've seen some.
I don't do the picture anymore because I get your point. I know what you mean. It has to be at least 8 years old.
Yeah.
At least there's a rule. You didn't know that. There's a law about that.
From the young days, like your best years, basically. Like everyone.
University graduation, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah. 3 quick tips that you would give to someone who was in your shoes just a few months back.
Sure. The first thing that I would say is self-belief. You have to understand that you have the required skill set and you have all the values that any organization has. You have to have the self-belief, and you have to introspect yourself and understand like if there are any gaps in terms of technical skills, in terms of interpersonal skills, and if there is any, you have to work on it. There is no shortcut for hard work at all.
Oh, no! And I want a shortcut. Give me 3 shortcuts to success today, Kiran. 3.
And in this age, like you are as good as your network. Yeah. So it's not network, it's net worth. So you have to make sure that you have a vibrant network. It's not like just number of connections. It's not like you have 8,000 connections, you are well connected. No, you have to add a lot of value to them. And you should also make sure that you are contributing to the community without expecting anything. Things will fall in place. Never worry about it. So have a very good network and be open-minded. Be open-minded in the job search. Make sure that you're putting in all the right effort at the right time, and make sure that you fix the target before putting even an ounce of effort. So that is more important. Targeted search and hard work with a great network will certainly take you places.
Love that.
There you go.
I don't. I want to have 3 shortcuts.
One always has a couple of those up his sleeve where he can pass out and help us out. But no, guys, thanks for joining us today. To everyone watching, thanks for continuing to watch Careers in the Cloud. If you need any help, you're looking to relocate, definitely talk to Johann, talk to Kiran. If you're interested in SIMA, speak with both of them. They can hook you up, maybe get you guys involved in some of those events too if you're up for.
And if you're in Berlin, watch out for these 2. When Kiran arrives, watch out for these 2. They're going to be trouble. Dangerous combination.
And if you contact me, I will anyway forward you to Alice, Hemi, or Maurizio. So don't even bother. Just contact them directly. It just cuts out the middleman. No, honestly, I've been working with Maurizio for the last couple of years, as he is my, let's say, mentor actually in the Salesforce world. And come on, let's be honest. He never made a cent of your money off me, and he still helps me every single day. So please contact the 3 of them.
You're beautiful.
Thank you very much for all you do for the community.